So what exactly does it mean to be sheltered in God's promises, to be sheltered in God's happiness, God's joy, God's pleasure, God's goodness for our lives? Welcome to this discussion right here on CITAM Church Online, where we continue with the series Ultimate Happiness. My name is Mwaniki. Karibu. So in the past couple of weeks, we have been trying to understand what exactly does it mean when Jesus was giving the Sermon on the Mount, which is a series of Beatitudes, and he was helping his disciples and even those who are listening to him to understand what is the pathway to ultimate happiness. In the Bible, the word blessed is used. Jesus used this word blessed when he was giving the Beatitudes, and blessed translated in Greek means beatus, which also means to be happy. So here, God gives us a blueprint. Jesus gives us a blueprint of what exactly it means to be happy and to be satisfied here on earth. Very interesting series right there, because it basically contradicts what man would normally think happiness would be. You know, having to live a lavish life, having what it is that you desire, whatever it is that man would deem to be, to give a sense of gratification or a sense of happiness. Jesus comes in and gives his own idea or his own thought, or he gives us exactly what it means to be happy and to be satisfied. Today we'll continue with this series right here on CITAM Church Online, and we'll be looking at the other beatitude, which comes from Matthew chapter 5 from verse 7. It says, "Blessed," that is content sheltered by God's promises, "are the merciful, for they will receive mercy." I'll read that again. Blessed, content sheltered by God's promises, are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. When I was sharing with you guys last week, we were looking at how being hungry and thirsting for righteousness, God is going to satisfy us. This is a beatitude that Jesus brings up right before this one that says, "Blessed are the merciful." And just before that, he says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied." Jesus brings us at a place as Christians where we are able to understand that our own righteousness, our self-righteousness, is unworthy before God. But once we receive the righteousness of God because of hungering and thirsting for more of him, then he fills us with his righteousness. Once God fills us with his righteousness, then we get to understand that our self-righteousness is nothing. You know, we tend to fail to point fingers at other people. We tend to say that I'm better than that person. I have done my devotion every other day, you know. I read from this book every other day, or I go for midweek services every single week. Yet that other person doesn't go for the same thing, the midweek services. But here Jesus is helping us to understand that what exactly does it mean to be merciful. Being merciful is getting to a place as Christians where we fail to point fingers at other people, where we fail to judge others and understand that because they have not yet understood, or because they haven't yet received the righteousness of God, but we have received the righteousness of God, then we in our place don't need to point fingers, don't need to be self-righteous and say, because I wake up in the morning to pray, then somebody else, because they don't wake up, then they are not righteous, you know, they don't have a relationship with God, or they are not walking right in their salvation. And I'll just take us quick to Matthew chapter 7 from verse 1. It says, "Do not judge and criticize and condemn others unfairly with an attitude of self-righteous superiority, as though assuming the office of a judge, so that you will not be judged unfairly. For just as you hypocritically judge others when you are sinful and unrepentant, so will you be judged, and in accordance with your standard of measure used to pass out judgment, judgment will be measured to you." What you look at, why do you look at the insignificant speck that is in your brother's eye, but not notice and acknowledge the egregious log that is in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, "Let me get the speck out of your eye," when there is a log on your own eye? You hypocrite, play actor, pretender. first get the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. So this is a place where Matthew chapter 7 is basically expounding more on Matthew chapter 5 verse 7. Very interesting, where God is taking us at a place as believers and as Christians to avoid having to be self-righteous, to avoid having to point fingers at other people. And I just want to highlight that there's actually a difference between judging others and condemning their sin. There's a difference between judging other people and condemning other people's sin. So I pray probably that we'll talk about it much later. But for now, I just want us to focus on the place where we now understand that once we have received the righteousness of God as believers, then we are in right standing with God. If other people are not there, if other people are not at that place where they're probably still going on with a sinful nature, they're still trying to wade their way through salvation, but they're still sinning at the same time, we are aware of this, they're probably struggling in one area or another individually, then we as believers need to get to a place of understanding that because we have already received righteousness from God, mercy is extending a hand of help to that person and praying for that person, and we too as believers shall receive mercy from God. Thank you so much for watching this video. I believe that they have been encouraging each and every one of you. Please do continue engaging with us on our social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Until next time, God bless you guys.